Oh, how I long for the desert. How I long for the wide open plains to be a cowboy. Yee-haw! Can I get a yee-haw?
Yee-haw.
Yee-haw. Ted, can I get a yee-haw?
Yee-haw.
Marty, can I get a yee-haw?
Yee-haw.
Yeah. Welcome to Haunts, Graves, and Omens. Welcome to a very yeehaw episode of Haunts, Graves, and Omens.
Yee-haw.
Marty's going to have too much fun with that sound.
My name is Fred Stewart, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host.
Taylor.
Hi, Tay.
Hi.
Oh, zooming on her camera, but not mine. That's fucked up. What are you doing, camera guy? Garbage. And to keep the episode as yeehaw as possible, here is Marty with what I can only assume to be TB.
Yee-haw.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Marty.
Hi, Marty. This week we're putting on our very best spurs, sporting our best dusters, because we're talking about the Old West, specifically the ghost of the Old West.
Ooh.
And even though it's episode 69, we won't be going to Brokeback Mountain. Instead, we are almost ready to get into it. Marty, what other sounds you got? You got yeehaw. The whip sound, that's good.
I think that one's my favorite.
And
Well, this one's a little longer, so it's going to play. I tried to make a stop, but it just...
it's all right, girl. It's all right. It's all right.
Shut up, you dumb horse.
We ride at noon or dawn. I don't know, whenever I wake up. But yeah, thanks so much for sticking around with us while we kind of didn't put out an episode last week because didn't really like the way it worked out. Marty was sick. The vibes were off. It just wasn't the way it should have been. I was missing a bunch of shit. So instead, we're going to do kind of the same episode again, just a little more added detail. Okay?
Right.
Are you guys ready to get into it?
I'm fucking ready.
Ready. Well, like I said, we're not going to Brokeback Mountain here in episode 69, but instead we'll be heading to our very first location. Welcome to Bodie, California.
Oh.
Ooh.
When mining began to decline among the western slope of the Sierra Nevada, prospectors began to cross the eastern slope in search for their fortunes.
Yee-haw.
One such man named William, a.k.a. Waterman S. Bodie, discovered gold near a place that is now called Bodie Bluff in 1859. Alas, the poor man died in a snowstorm that very winter and never saw the town that would be named after him.
Why is his nickname is Waterman?
Waterman.
Waterman.
Yeah, it's because he wore those toed water shoes.
The best kind of shoes.
Yeah. No. So, though one of the legends attributed to the change of the spelling is due to an illiterate sign painter, the citizens deliberately changed the spelling in order to ensure proper pronunciation. In 1861, the Bunker Hill mine was established as well as a mill. Though a camp was called home to only about 20 miners, Bodie grew slowly and remained an insignificant mining camp for about 17 years. The Bunker Hill mine and mill on the west slope of Bodie Bluff changed hands several times during the years before being sold to four partners in 1877. The name was changed to the Standard Mining Company within months. The partners discovered a significant vein of rich gold ore.
Oh.
Profits rose dramatically, and by the end of 1878, Bodie's population had soared to some 5,000 people.
Oh, shit.
The Standard Mine would yield nearly $15 million in gold over the next 25 years.
Jeez.
It's a lot of gold.
That's a lot of fucking gold.
A lot of gold. During the winter of 1878, 1879, Bodie's citizens saw many hardships, particularly savage. The winter claimed hundreds of lives from exposure and disease. Falling timber in the mines and the explosion of a powder magazine took additional lives.
Gee.
Miners, gamblers, and business continued to flood the area. And by 1879, Bodie boasted a population of about 10,000 and 2,000 buildings. So 10,000 people, 2,000 buildings. Before long, the town
Quick math, how many people is that per building?
Fuck off. So I literally just
They
woke up.
didn't know math back then.
I literally just woke up from
I know it
from a
starts
nap.
with a 5.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
But so before long, the town supported some 30 gold mines, 65 saloons, numerous brothels, gambling halls, and opium dens, as well as a number of legitimate businesses, including 3 newspapers, several churches, a couple of banks, and a school.
65 saloons is a lot.
Oh man, that's nothing to compare to our last location.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just like for a population of 10,000.
10,000, that is quite a bit.
That's a lot.
That is quite a bit for 10,000, I will say. Every other building on the mile-long main street was a saloon. So it's a lot. 3 breweries worked day and night, while whiskey was brought into town in 100-gallon barrels. So this town likes to fucking party. Like many booming mining camps, Bodie soon earned a reputation for violence and lawlessness. Killings were sometimes daily events, and robberies, stage holdups, and street fights were common occurrences within the camp. In its day, Bodie was more widely known for its lawlessness than for its riches. Of Bodie, the Reverend F.M. Warrington would describe it in 1881 as, quote, a sea of sin lashed by the tempest of lust and passion.
Okay, that just kind of makes me want to
Given
visit.
Bodie's reputation, it is perhaps not surprising that one little girl whose family was moving to the mining town reportedly prayed, "Goodbye, God. We're going to Bodie." Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Fuck it in.
So, fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Can I get a...
Yeehaw.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Bodie needed milled wood for construction, mine shaft beams, and heating. However, there were a few trees in the area. Soon, several businessmen formed the Bodie and Benton Railroad in 1881 for the sole purpose of transporting lumber, which is very smart.
Yeah.
Like other railroads in the West, the Bodie and Benton Railroad hired inexpensive Chinese labor, which was very common at the time. And by 1882, the 32-mile-long railroad was in service between Bodie and Mono Mills along the east shore of the Mono Lake. Though the metal rails have long since been sold as scrap, you can still see the old railroad gate not far from the remote eastern shores of Mono Lake. Many immigrants and ex-miners homestead around Mono Lake, hoping to make a simple living by living off the land. Early Mono Basin ranchers often had plentiful food and stock and provided supplies to the local mining towns of Bodie and Lundy. The boom was over just 4 years later, and by 1882, Bodie had started to decline. Its population had dropped to just about 3,000 as several smaller mining companies went bankrupt and people began to leave the area and search for better opportunities. Prior to 1882, there were no churches in Bodie. However, there were 2 preachers, Reverend Hinkle, a Methodist, and Father Casson, a Catholic.
I thought you were going to say a meth head.
Reverend Hinkle also peed on people. So
Reverend Tinkle.
Services were held in private homes and later in the IOF Independent Order of Odd Fellows building and the Miners' Union Hall. Despite the decline of the mines, both a Methodist church and a Catholic church were built in 1882. The Catholic Church would not survive the late fires of Bodie, but the Methodist Church still stands because, like in every single town in the 1800s, it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to flood or burn down. So Bodie burned down.
Yeah.
So the two major mines, the Bodie and the Standard, merged in 1887 and continued to operate successfully for the next two decades. While the boom lasted, some 30 companies produced $400,000 in ore per month for an overall estimated value of at $90 to $100 million.
Jesus.
It's a lot.
That's a lot, especially for back then.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So, in 1892, a fire ravaged most of the business district, further depleting Bodie's population, because of course it did. Additional mines began to close. However, the very next year, Bodie became one of the first mining camps to use electricity, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And then another fire destroyed the mill in 1898, but then it was rebuilt the following year.
That's what, I mean,
Everything is catching on fire.
obviously.
It's the two reverends. They're burning everything.
Yeah.
yeah.
Feel the fires of hell, sinner.
It's because they started to use electricity. The reverends were just like, we can't have that.
Yeah, sure. Well, you say now is that the electricity, you've been using electricity. You've been using electricity, right? Get ready to zoom in. You've been using electricity, right? And you know what electricity is? The devil. All right. So, by 1915, most of the important mines were controlled by James Stuart Kane, who had arrived in Bodie when he was just 25 years old. Soon after his arrival, he entered the lumber business, transporting lumber on barges across Monroe Lake. He would grow so successful that he eventually would own the Bodie Bank, leased the Monroe Lake Railway and Lumber Company, and became the town's principal property owner and the owner of the Standard Mill. So dude just literally just bought everything. However, the Standard Mill would then close around 1916. Just a year later, the Bodie and Benton Railway was abandoned, which is the one that he bought.
Right.
In 1932, another devastating fire caused by a 2.5-year-old boy playing with matches destroyed 95% of Bodie's buildings.
Jesus Christ.
Nice.
God.
I'm like, Papa, I want to go in the mines, and I don't know why I'm Australian. I want to go in the mines, Papa. I want to go see what it's like in there. And they're like, no, son, it's dangerous. Here, play with these matches. Make sure you play it really close to this bush because it's really dry out. So, though Bodie was already dying, further decline resulted from Prohibition and the Great Depression. While some mining continued, there were no new strikes, and the companies eked out of their only prior profits, largely by using the cyanide process to extract gold from old tailings, which is not great. However, a few people continued to live in Bodie until after World War II, when the last producing mine, the Lucky Boy, was shut down.
Oh, did it start on fire too?
Yeah, some 1.5-year-old was playing with matches. So just gets progressively gets younger and younger.
This kid lit a match from the womb. You wouldn't believe it.
Just like this hand comes out, just like. By then, only 6 people were left in the old settlement, and 5 of these would soon die of untimely deaths. First, one of the men shot his wife after she died, and after she died, 3 men killed the murdering husband. According to legend, the ghost of the murdered man would visit the 3 men, shaking his fist. Soon, all 3 would die of strange diseases. One of them was tied up like a balloon animal. One of them was turned into a cow.
Oh.
Was turned into a cow. And one of them was turned into a sound effect on our soundboard. That one specifically. So it's very funny how that works.
I like he didn't really do like anything like super intimidating other than just
He's like, I'll get you, I'll fucking kill you if I had the fucking hands to do it.
like it's not that scary.
What I want to know is though, like what, because this is in California, like what, because it's the Old West.
Yeah.
So like, what does a old Western Californian accent sound like?
Like, honestly, bro, honestly, dude, like, honestly,
these fucking cows, mate. Oh, I don't know that kind of Australian.
You sort of go Australian.
Australians might just be the Californian Old West.
like, honestly, bro, like, I'm just gonna go out here and go in the fucking desert, dude, and I'm just gonna like hit the vibes, dude. And honestly, I might look for some gold. They might start a railroad company. I don't know, dude. I'm just trying to vibe. Anyway, my house burned down. So by the end of the 1940s, Bodie was a ghost town and was visited only by tourists interested in its history. In 1962, after years of neglect, Bodie became a state historic park. And 2 years later, the ghost town of Bodie was dedicated as a California historic site and has also been designated as a national historic site that you can visit today.
Oh.
Now, why did I lead this whole story up about Bodie and the sadness and the violence that occurred here? It's because it's obvious, because this town's fucking cursed.
That sounds about right.
Yes. Legends about Bodie abound, include the Bodie curse. Supposedly, if visitors take anything from the ghost town, even a pebble, they will be cursed with bad luck. Misfortune and tragedy are heaped upon the victim until the stolen item is returned. According to park rangers, many who have taken things eventually return the item to the park to rid themselves of the curse. Purportedly, the park maintains a logbook of pages and pages of returned items.
Oh.
In the museum, you can see the letters from people who have returned items to the park. The curse is supposedly perpetuated by the ghost of Bodie, who guard against thieves and protect its treasures. Some believe that the curse is nothing more than a superstition perpetuated by the park rangers to preserve Bodie as a historic site. However, I, for one, wouldn't take the chance of being haunted by the long-lost souls of Bodie.
Seriously, bro, don't fucking take my shit, bro.
Like, honestly, dude, you're fucking like, honestly, dude, it's fucked up. You took my rock, dude. That's fucked up.
You're harshing my vibe, bro.
My vibes were that rock, dude. And now they're off. So, other ghostly legends have seemingly occurred in this town that is said to be truly a ghost town, remaining home to several relentless spirits. The J.S. Kane house at the corner of Green and Park Streets is said to be haunted by the ghost of a Chinese maid. Families of park rangers who have occupied the house describe the spirit as not liking adults but loves children.
Oh.
Which is in a weird way kind of wholesome.
Yeah.
They're like, well, scare the adults, but then they're like, you're okay, little one, you're fine.
Yeah.
That's very, very
I'm down,
wholesome.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, that's why we're dressed more like a little kid. He's gonna go in there. Like, I'm just a little baby. I'm just a little kid. I'm just fucking.
You know what? We have the perfect costume
Don't
for it.
worry over here. I'm just playing with matches.
Give me milk. Give me milk.
But we have the perfect costume for Marty to wear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
sure.
Well, maybe Charles has to wear it because he was kind of free balling in it. Anyway, adults sleeping in the house have said that they will awake in the night to find the heavy set, quote unquote, Chinese woman sitting on them. Feeling suffocated, one woman fought so hard that she ended up on the floor. Others have reported seeing the bedroom door opening and closing on its own. In the Gregory house, it is also said to be haunted by the ghost of an old woman. Guests and staff have reported seeing her sitting in her rocking chair, knitting an afghan.
Oh.
At other times, the rocking chair has been seen rocking on its own accord.
Oh.
See, if that was me haunting that place, all the rocking chairs would be broken.
Jesus Christ.
It'd be like, look at that rocking chair over there. It's like,
it splits down the middle. Like you're like, fuck. And they're like, you okay? And you're like, go away.
Get out. Get out.
Get out of here. Don't look at my shame. So, the Mendocini house is home to several friendly ghosts. One is thought to be Mrs. Mendocini, who loved to cook her Italian food, because of course she's Italian. Fuck, do it with me. Mendocini. Come on. Mendocini. Come on, you fucking goddamn. You know what? You fucking Italian. Come on. Come on.
You fucking Italian.
Mendocini. Whatever. She doesn't want to do it, but she'll do it immediately after this. Guaranteed. Every time I try to talk to her about anything, she's like, do you want some Taco Bell?
I literally do not.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, go
It's
over here.
Giuseppe's.
Oh, she
Get
just
it
did it.
right.
As soon as I switched cameras, she did it.
Stop. You're doing it with your left. Yeah, see, look at that. Wow. That's, whatever.
She's doing it right now, guys.
So, one is thought to be, rangers report today that they often smell delicious aroma of her cooking when they enter the house, which is fucking super cool.
That is super cool.
Others have reported party-like sounds coming from the next room and children's laughter coming throughout the house.
Oh.
So, like it says, like, the sounds of like a party like in the next room,
yeah.
And for some reason, like, I assume it's like some like old timey music, maybe some people talking, but all I can imagine is like, hey, Miss Mendocini, this fucking pasta rips. Like,
Be like,
Yeehaw.
Perfect.
yeah. So at the excuse me if I butcher this, but at the Deschambault house, visitors have also seen a woman peering from the upstairs window. And at the Bodie Cemetery is the Angel of Bodie, a 3-year-old child that is said to have been accidentally killed when she was hit on in her head by a miner's pick.
Oh, gee.
Her grave is mounted with a marble angel, and on one occasion, a man visiting the cemetery with his little girl noticed that she was giggling and seemingly playing with an unseen entity. Today, Bodie is one of the largest and best preserved ghost towns in the West. It's...
sorry. Still getting over my sickness.
Jesus Christ.
I muted my mic, though.
Yeah, but the other ones picked it up.
We're taking you out to pasture after this. It's over 200 buildings are maintained in a state of what can be what is termed as arrested decay. Many original items are displayed in these old buildings. When people moved out after the fire of 1932, they packed what they could in their wagon or truck, and the rest it was just kind of left behind. Only about 10% of the original buildings still stand. However, what is left looks much more the same as it did over 50 years ago when the last residents left.
Oh.
And that's the town of Bodie.
I want to go.
I do want to go to Bodie really bad. I think that'd be very exciting.
That'd be fun.
Yes.
Totally down for that.
I want to go see the Italian. Let's go see the Italian woman. Oh, man. What if we made some pasta and gave her pasta as like an offering? That'd be cool. Made some like raviolis. That'd be fun. Eating raviolis with the ghost.
Fucking A there.
Okay. So our next stop on our very dusty tour throughout the Old West, we arrive in the town of Calico, California. Guess what? We're still in California.
It'd be like that.
That's fucking arsenic. So, Calico is an Old West mining town that has been around since 1881, nestled in the Mojave Desert with around 500 silver mines in the area. It took just 2 years for the town's population to reach 1,200 back in the 1880s, and by 1980, it was home to over 3,500 people.
Oh.
However, the dream ended almost as quickly as it began when the Silver Purchase Act of 1980 pushed down silver prices, and by 1900, Calico was abandoned entirely.
Oh.
It has remained ever so since the despite the several attempts to rejuvenate the place, it's still abandoned. Still, not a lot going on there. However, just because the living have abandoned Calico doesn't mean that it's uninhabited. That's right. A group of 40 to 50 clowns have moved into Calico, and they go in there and they make balloon animals into each other's mouths. So they also have a cow. Yeah. So no. Over the years, Calico Ghost Town has built up a reputation as one of the most haunted places in California, if not the entire United States. Oh. Most settlements of this nature have gradually fallen into despair and crumbled away over the years. However, Calico has been one of the lucky ones, and the town has been given a new lease on life. In 1950, Calico was purchased by Walter Marvin Knott, who, of course, is famous for being the owner of Knott's Berry Farms, which is very cool. So he had initially set up a Fox Ghost Town at Knott's Berry Farm by relocating several buildings from Old West towns, but he was not content and decided to buy the real thing in the form of Calico. He would later gift the settlement to San Bernardino County, which is now part of the regional park system, and has become a popular tourist attraction among visitors from all over the globe, which is a very cool thing to do.
Oh, that's very cool.
Some of the activities offered include mine tours, gunfight performances, gold panning, and a heritage railroad ride. Of course, it provides a fair share of chills thanks to the resident ghosts who call Calico home. After all, what would a ghost town be without a few ghosts? It would just be a town. So, amid the claims of paranormal activity, 3 main entities have been identified as residing in Calico Ghost Town. These are the ones that visitors should be on the lookout for. Now let's get to know them a little better. Lucy Lane. One of the most commonly spotted entities haunting Calico Ghost Town is said to be a woman that goes by the name Lucy Lane. History suggests that Lucy ran Calico's general store alongside her husband, John Robert Lane. Like so many residents, the Lanes moved away from Calico when the town began rapidly depopulating. However, they returned in 1916 after the town was abandoned and lived the rest of their days in the town. Lucy was well into her 90s when she passed.
Oh.
It seems only natural that she would want to stick around in the town where she lived and died. Visitors to the Calico Ghost Town have frequently reported seeing Lucy walking between what was once her home and the general store. She is easily recognizable by her attire, the beautiful black lace dress that she was buried in. Although most reports describe Lucy Lane walking from her home to the general store, there have also been sightings of her inside both buildings. Her former home is now a museum dedicated to Lucy and John Robert Lane, and she sometimes has been seen sitting in a rocking chair, slowly rocking back and forth. Some visitors also claim to have seen Lucy behind the counter in the general store.
Oh, I don't know why, but if I see a rocking chair rocking with no one in it, that's going to freak me the fuck out, even if it's a friendly ghost.
Nah, I would be like, that's fun. They're just kind of chilling, just kind of rocking.
I don't know.
It'd be worse if they're like, no soundboard that time. So, another of the paranormal hotspots in Calico is the schoolhouse. The teachers' names have been long since lost, but it is said to be their spirits who were responsible for the plethora of paranormal activity happening in the old schoolhouse. There are frequent reports that the teachers like to stand in the windows of the schoolhouse, peering out at those passing by on the outside.
Oh.
There have also been reports of a red ball of lightning moving around the inside of the schoolhouse. Many visitors to Calico have also witnessed this phenomenon, so it's very common. The former teachers, are certainly not the only ones who are up to mischief. There have been also reports of a variety of ghostly students in the schoolhouse. These children spirits can be seen fiddling around inside the building. They seem to keep to themselves most of the time, but one girl aged approximately 11 or 12 is far more outgoing. However, she is most likely appear to children and teens and will often comment on who will often comment on seeing her, only for their parents to turn around and the girl to vanish. So they just kind of fucking around, having a good time. And for the last ghost of this lovely, lovely town, we have good old Tumbleweed Harris. Yes. So the most prominent ghost that roams around the town is probably the entity known as Tumbleweed Harris. He is the last marshal of Calico, and it seems as though that he has not yet stepped down from his duty. He is often seen on the boardwalks on Main Street, and when you're able to recognize him by his large frame and long white beard. If you visit Calico, be sure to stop by Tumbleweed's gravestone and thank him for keeping Calico's peace even in death. Of course, these are just the 3 most common reports of paranormal activity in Calico. There are many other entities around the town, including Dorsey, the mail-carrying dog.
I love that.
It was just super cute. And an angry cowboy.
Of course.
He haunts Hank's Hotel. A female spirit known as Esmeralda and a woman in a long white dress are often seen wandering around the outskirts of town. Some of the other haunted hotspots in Calico include the Maggie Mine, Hank's Hotel, like I said, and the Calico Corral. It is common for visitors to experience unexplained chills, tugging on their clothing, and their hands and faces being touched. So that's pretty spooky.
Yeah.
And that's all about Calico.
That's pretty stinking cool. I feel like it would be really cool to buy a abandoned ghost town.
Oh yeah, no, that's a fantastic idea.
I would want to do that.
Oh yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
I would do that, and I would like during like the summers, do like the same kind of thing they're doing, make this fun. Like I'd make it like a camping area and people can come experience it, and they'd be like, it's so west, blah, blah, blah. And then during October it'd be like, it's fucking haunted. Like let's check it out. And for our final stop on our Yee-HAW tour of ghost towns in the West, we arrive at the infamous, zoom in, Tombstone, Arizona. Yes. Welcome to Tombstone, Arizona. I didn't get to make that joke last time, so now I'm making it this time.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah.
all right. You know what? Just can you guys just vamp about just give me a second while I drink my water.
Yeah, Tombstone, Arizona is a place in Arizona named after a stone they put over your tomb when you die. And that's what I know about Tombstone, Arizona.
Did you just not listen last week?
I know more. I know more than I was leading. I was just trying to be funny.
So, well, that was an attempt. Save it for the doc. So, Tombstone, located in the Arizona Territory, is about 30 miles from the Mexican border and was founded on March of 1879 after silver was discovered in the area. Like many other mining boom towns in the American frontier, Tombstone grew rapidly. As it was founding, had a population of just 100, and within 2 years, in the late 1881, the population was more than 7,000 people, making it the largest boom town in the American Southwest. Silver mining and its attendant wealth attracted many professionals and merchants who brought their wives and families, and with them came churches and ministries. By 1881, the town had boasted fancy restaurants, a bowling alley, 4 churches, an ice house, a school, an opera house, 2 banks, 3 newspapers, an ice cream parlor, and along with 110 saloons, 14 gambling halls, and a lot of fucking brothels. A lot.
Yeah.
All situated among a number of dirty and hand-scrabbled mines.
That's a fucking lot of saloons.
That's a lot of saloons.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, per person, though, it's more than the one earlier where they had, like, 60-something and such a low number of people.
So if we...
How many people per saloon?
Yeah, so people per saloon. Let's see. 110 saloons. So about 90 people per saloon, it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's quite a bit of people per saloon. Imagine just 90 people in a bar. That's just a lot.
That is a lot of people.
So our first location. Oh, sorry. Let me finish the rest of what I was saying. The Mexican government assessed heavy export taxes on these on items such as like alcohol and tobacco across the border, and smugglers were just constantly doing that. There was like cattle rustling. There was lots of murder happened here. It's literally when you think of like the Old West, that's Tombstone. You got it?
You got it.
Got it.
I got it.
So, our first location within Tombstone is that of the Birdcage Theater. You guys ready?
I'm fucking ready.
In 1882, the New York Times declared Tombstone's Birdcage Theater was the, quote, roughest, brawliest, and most wicked night spot between the Basin Street and Barbary Coast. 26 deaths and 140 bullet holes later, this American icon is packed with poltergeists, gunslingers, gamblers, prostitutes, poker players, a fucking dog wearing a funny hat, a cow, a guy with a whip sound, a person going yee-haw, a horse.
All of it.
Who's haunting this spooky saloon? So, yeah, like I said, 26 people died here, which is quite a bit.
Yeah.
There was also a theater, a saloon, a brothel, and a gambling parlor, like I said, with inside this building. The balcony boxes were used by, quote, painted ladies. The site is it's the site of the world's largest running poker game, which is very cool.
Oh, that's very cool.
And this is where one woman's heart was chiseled from her chest.
Jeez.
So,
Christ almighty.
it's very cozy in here, is what I'm getting at. So, in the quote, town too tough to die, the Birdcage Theater may have been the most gruesome attraction. 26 people allegedly died within the building in shootouts, stabbings, and suicide. The most infamous murders involved Painted Lady Margarita, whose heart was chiseled from her chest with a double-edged stiletto knife.
Damn.
God.
Featured on shows such as Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Lab, Fact or Fake, Paranormal Files. It is no secret that it's a top spot for supernatural activity. But what's haunting the Birdcage Theater? Tense music. Nice. Today, travelers and staff allege to see the specters of courtesans and cowboys, even smelling cigars in the no-smoking saloon. Some claim to catch a whiff of whiskey whenever there's no one around.
Oh.
Melodies are played from the phantom pianos. Laughter is overheard when the brothel is barren, and spectral stagehands are seen walking across the stage. Are these residual energies from the Western frontier?
Yes. Obviously.
Yes. So, the grisliest murder at the Birdcage Theater involved 2 madams. One, Little Gertie, the Gold Dollar, was employed at the Crystal Palace, a rival brothel. Margarita was her competing painted lady, the Belle of the Birdcage.
Ooh.
So, in 1882, Billy Milgreen was caught entertaining the, quote, the tall, dark, and willowy Margarita. Milgreen was a regular of the Gold Dollar, Margarita's competitor. Even some allege that Milgreen was Gold Dollar's live-in lover. Oh, getting saucy. Margarita wasn't afraid of Gold Dollar, despite Gold Dollar's reputation as a gutsy, gritty woman. She was like, "You want to fucking dance? You want to fucking see this shit?" Yeah.
I can only imagine that is her actual voice.
Yeah. I was going to come into frame. Hold on. Yeah. Fucking see this shit. Yeah. So... perhaps it was because of Gold Dollar's size. Gold Dollar was known for being a little girty due to her petiteness. Did Margarita underestimate her rival of ill repute? So, Gold Dollar didn't attack Margarita until she crawled into Milgreen's lap. Oh, shit. Gold Dollar felt slighted, thinking that Margarita had stolen a tried and true customer, or worse, that Margarita had stolen her man.
Oh.
Grabbing a handful of Margarita's hair, Gold Dollar stabbed her with a double-edged stiletto and slashed her in her garter. She hacked at Margarita's heart. It was a macabre moment, too morbid for Gold Dollar to stick around. She fled the scene, and soon the marshal arrived. Little Gertie, the Gold Dollar, was eventually apprehended and yet was discovered without the weapon. Curiously, no charges were filed. If there was no murder weapon, there was no evidence, despite escorts, eavesdroppers, and eyewitnesses.
Great.
Cut a fucking heart out, and they're like, I don't know, man. It's the Old West.
Okay, so literally cops have just not changed at all. No matter what our story is.
Yeah.
It's always the same way. They're like, I don't know, there's no weapon, so we can't prove that she did it.
Meanwhile, the guy who was had her in his lap, and she's like, I fucking watched it.
She
I don't know.
probably had blood on her hands, at least.
Just covered in blood. She's
Yeah.
like, did you stab Margarita? She's like, just covered in blood. No. It's like, what? What?
No. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Whatever.
I don't fucking get it.
So, as for the ghost, the visitors alleged to see the murdered madam today, catching glimpses of this scandalous specter. Is this the naked woman that Nova Fury found and wrote about? Nova Fury being an author, saying, quote, "In an apparition of a young woman who opened the curtain, she was between the ages of 18 and 20. She was leaning on the balustrade?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. When she looked at the balustrade, she seems to have stayed in the place that was unoccupied, and there was no one in the alcoves. She was only wearing a bloomer, so she stood out." So, Margarita may not be the only madam lurking within the building. Gold Dollar stiletto was discovered a century later behind the Birdcage Theater. They didn't look that hard. You can find it there on display today, perhaps near Margarita's poltergeist. Is Gold Dollar's residual energy attached to this relic? If a location or object undergoes trauma, that location or object may record an energy experience, repeating it or replicating it in sometime later, right? Some explain residual hauntings as trauma imprinting itself upon the atmosphere. Maybe this explains the paranormal activity inside the Birdcage Theater and why it's so haunted. So, Birdcage Theater is most particularly poltergeist is known as the Woman in White. This apparition is said to appear as a property, a rarity for a brothel. One employee reported, "Almost everyone who works here thinks that an experience of some kind with a lady in white. I've seen her. She came down the stairwell into the poker room. And she wore a white dress and a white bonnet. And she kind of stood in front of me for a long time without reacting to my presence at all. It's like she didn't even know I was there. She's what they call a residual haunt. No one has ever identified who she is. A bonnet indicates she was a proper lady, and no proper ladies ever came in here. Most of us who worked here think she came in with the hearse and is now trapped here.
Oh.
No
So-
proper ladies ever
Nope.
came in here.
No proper ladies ever came in here boom, 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 and haunted the Birdcage Theater. Boom, 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 boom. So Cody Polstone of Haunted Tombstone believes that this woman is named Michelle, an apparition who appeared in a photo taken by Donovan's Ghost Patrol in 2006. The image depicts a woman descending a staircase, gripping onto the hem of her dress tightly in her hand. Does Michelle lurk about looking for Tombstone's ladies' nights? She just wants to fucking party,
She might. You never know.
which is super tight.
Yeah.
So, there seems to be no end of the unexplained and disturbing activity that continues to happen inside the walls of Tombstone's notorious hotspot. In the 1980s, William Hunley conducted a seance at the Birdcage Theater. Hunley was the proprietor at the time and hired a prominent psychic medium. She suspected that there was foul play about, likely from a poltergeist inhabiting the structure. During the seance, one spiteful spirit began to strangle William Hunley. Attendants were aghast, struck by frightful fits. The violence only ceased once the bustle broke the medium from her trance. Once the bustle broke medium from her trance. William's neck was bruised for 6 weeks afterward.
Jesus.
So who was strangling, Hunley?
That's
very-
insane.
very-
6 weeks?
Yeah, so it means he gets strangled hard. Just
Yeah.
trying to kill him. After there's a lot of disappearances and shit here. Some weird stuff happens. Once an antique poker chip would appear and disappear, materializing only to vanish into thin air. Bill Hunley of William Hunley, the son of William Hunley, began to lock the chip in a bank vault. He had hoped that this would keep the relic safe. Yet one of the antiquarians came to authenticate the relic. The poker chip again disappeared. The relic only materialized once the antiquarian had left.
I can't believe they're being so judgmental about a zodiac sign.
Yeah. Boom. So, are these paranormal ongoings the work of a playful poltergeist or sinister specters? Could that poker chip have a connection to an infamous gambler, a gunslinger, Doc Holliday? Perhaps Doc Holliday doesn't even want his memento mishandled.
Yeah, maybe.
So, Bill Clayton, an employee and descendant of the sharpshooter by the same name, Billy Clayton, claims that the spirits are, quote, always moving around in there. Quote, there is laughing and carrying on you can't explain. You can smell smoke around the dice table. I tell them, you leave me alone and I'll leave you alone. Clayton smiles, thinking of the property's poltergeist, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So, one haunting that occurs outside the theater is Carmita Gimenez, a birdcage entertainer, poisoned herself by 2 teaspoons of arsenic. On August 17th of 1888, Carmelita's boyfriend recalled, a few nights after we got home from work at the Birdcage Theater, where we were both employed, after the show, we came home. We had retired for the night, and she commenced crying. I asked her what the cause it was. She answered, "It was not worth concerning me what she was crying about. I was in the kitchen at the time. She took the poison. After rehearsal yesterday, I saw her vomit alongside the washstand. I thought it was emetic. The next thing I know, Josephine, her niece, asked me if I knew what was the matter with Carmelita. I said, she's only a little sick. She said, no, she's poisoned herself. Go get a doctor. Dr. Willis gave Carmelita an emetic, but it was too late. Carmelita died at 5 o'clock the next day. She poisoned herself with a concentration of arsenic called Rough on Rats.
Oh.
The Birdcage Theater shut its doors that night out of reverence for Carmelita. So, does Carmelita still haunt the theater? While painted ladies were popular within the walls of the bordello, they were ostracized outside. Perhaps Carmelita lurks around the property, bound to the brothel that drove her to death.
Jeez.
Yeah. And we're not done yet.
No.
We're not done yet. You fucking ready? You fucking goofballs.
Yeah.
I got another 10 pages worth.
Okay.
We're exactly halfway through.
All right.
So I'm going to hustle. Ready? Tombstone is known for its many outlaws and gunslingers that lived and robbed here, such as Doc Holliday, the Earp brothers, and Johnny Ringo. With that, Tombstone is haunted by the long and violent past of one incident that stands out from all the rest: the shooting at the OK Corral. For the sake of time, I will give you a synopsis about the shootout. The Earp brothers and Doc Holliday faced off against the Clayton McCleary gang. Once smoke cleared and the bullets stopped flying, 3 men were dead, and the spot was renamed to the Not-So-Okay Corral. Just kidding. But for real, those people did absolutely die. So
That one caught me off guard.
That was a pretty good one, though. It was not expected.
So yeah, the last time we recorded this, I recorded the whole thing of like talking about like, the shooting. Basically, like it was this fucking crazy gunfight that occurred. You can watch on any sort of history documentary about it, but it's just this absolutely insane long gunfight. Like they were one of the guys who was from the Clayton McCleary gang was shot, and he ran across the street. It was kind of laying on the ground. Someone grabbed onto him. He was like only like 18 years old or something like that. And somebody grabs onto him, and he just goes like, you know, like, tell my mom I love her or something like that. And they're like, you're going to tell her yourself. And then he just fucking, that's it. Like, just the pure, utter violence that occurred here is insane. And they made a movie about it. It's called Tombstone. So, instead of recalling some of the legends of OK Corral, I'm going to read you someone's personal encounter.
Ooh.
You've heard it. Marty's heard it. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell it again because it's a really fun story.
It's fucking insane.
So this comes from a Reddit user, which for some reason didn't copy over. Hopefully it's in here somewhere. Oh, wait. There it is. Where is it? Nope, didn't fucking do it. But basically, it says, today I fucked up by using a Ouija board inside Tombstone, Arizona. This person, I'll get into it. So instead of recalling some of the legends of the OK Corral, I'm going to read you someone else's personal encounter. You two have already heard it, but I'm going to tell it again because it's a fun story.
Yeah.
So this actually comes from a Reddit user whose name eludes me on here, and I'll put the little user thing right here once I find it. But basically, it's a today I fucked up by using a Ouija board inside Tombstone, Arizona. So it says, do I believe everything that happened actually happened? Not necessarily. I'm as skeptical as you will be, and I welcome any explanation as how the events that occurred are not supernatural. It could have been an elaborate prank on my behalf of my friends, but there are several reasons why I find it hard to believe. Mass hysteria? Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, here's my story. I enlisted in the Army in 2009 and had my AIT Advanced Individual Training in Fort Huachuca? Yes. I don't know, man. Pretty much any soldier stationed at the fort, often named Fort We Gotcha, was above average intelligence. Most of the MOSs there require a very high ASVAB score. Needless to say, my friends and I were a unique bunch, many of us gaming nerds. The fort was about 20 minutes from the Mexican border and about 40 minutes from the infamous Tombstone, Arizona. Not Arizona, Arizona. Like, I'm going to Tuscan, Arizona. One day, we were bored and swapping ghost stories, and one of my buddies brought a Ouija board at Walmart for us to play around with. We'll call him Jackson to protect his identity. I'm not sure Jackson believed in the supernatural, but when your disposable income to free time ratio is skewed horribly in the wrong direction, you buy stupid shit to entertain yourself with. Which it's a fact. Jackson and I attempted to use the Ouija board in our barracks as the base is extremely old, rife with hauntings. Unfortunately, the barracks we had recently moved to were brand new, so the Ouija board didn't work. Tired of strip clubs and flirting with the Mexican border, we hungered for unique adventure. I brought up the idea of traveling to nearby Tombstone. Jackson lit up when I mentioned this, as he had heard the story of a haunted house in Tombstone he wanted to check out. We came to a quick ghost hunting consensus and invited our buddy Thompson along for the ride. We arrived in Tombstone shortly after dark. It was not quite how I expected it. I had pictured a literal ghost town with a few dilapidated Wild West buildings and the obligatory tumbleweed blowing across the street. This is not the case at all. Even at night, it's basically a normal town with a few historical buildings and tourist traps. In addition to the downtown stretch, they have a residential area that is just like any other small town in America. It was said it was in this residential area that we began hunting for our supposed haunted house. We got to the area we thought it was in, but weren't sure which house it was. After a few minutes of circling the block, the group decided to take a break to piss. Everyone went separate directions to pee, but I could not find a place private enough, so I didn't go. I was the second person back to the car. I climbed into the back seat and asked Jackson, "Where's Thompson?" I don't know. He's been gone a while. I'll text him," Jackson said. All of a sudden, Thompson, looking wider than he normally does, comes sprinting towards the car, frantically tries to open the passenger door. Jackson calmly unlocks the door and lets him in and asks, "What happened?" "Dude, you're not going to believe this shit," Thompson gasped. His southern drawl tightened like a cello string. "I was in this house, and we looked abandoned, right? So I go in and look around and decide to have a smoke, and I looked down at my phone to text you guys and to tell you about it, and when all of a sudden something touched my shoulder." "Holy shit, what was it?" I asked. "Nothing. There was nothing there, so I sprinted back to the car." Pumped with curiosity and stupidity, I suggest we go full mystery machine and park in the nearby lot to use the Ouija board from inside the car. As soon as we get parked, roughly half a block away, we anxiously pulled out the Ouija board and put it on our laps. As the person designated to ask questions, I began. "Is there anyone there?" To my disbelief, the planchette started moving, and slowly but surely moved towards yes.
Oh.
Were you the thing that touched Thompson?" "Yes," he replied again. "Are you the ghost in the haunted house that we were going to visit?" "No," it answered. Now, this took me by surprise. If this was one of the others trying to scare us, why didn't it take the obvious bait? Claimed to be the ghost we saw and commenced to scaring the shit out of us. I mean, it's like the Nigerian scammer writing you about your long-lost fortune and then responding to no when you ask him if he's able to give you $6 million instead of $5.5 million. At this point, I had flashbacks of just about every creepy Ouija board experience I'd ever seen or read about. They always started with some cliche questions of like, "LOL, how did you die?" And then with, "Oh my fucking God," and a flurry of telekinetic activity. I wanted this session to be different. After all, we were a handpicked bunch of intelligent people, not a group of scared teenagers. If this was real, I wanted this specter to break history with me. So, I took a moment and started thinking, what would I want to know about a ghost? What questions can I ask that aren't cliche? What can I ask that will break the linear decision tree where a Ouija board ends up telling you that they want you dead? I realized that any questions I asked had to be extremely specific. I offered no chance for creepy deviation in the answer. I suppose I could ask for the coefficient of pi, and it would have to respond with like, "Die, bitch," over and over again, but I had faith in this ghost. So, the first question I asked was, name one thing the building you touched Thompson in was used for. The planchette started moving again. Ha! I thought to myself, this thing can't possibly get creepy from the situation. I bet it's going to say like general store or post office or SLAUGHTER, slaughter. Pucker factor 9. Good game, ghosts? Fuck you. So, but seriously, I had realized this is probably not one of us joking around because slaughter has not been used in a common term since the 1800s. You don't log on to CNN and see, man, slaughter today in small house in Arizona, details at 11. If my friends were pulling a prank, or the easiest verb would have been used something like murder or butt sex, Intrigued, I decided to ask why it touched Thompson. H-E-L-P. Help, it replied. Thinking this would lead somewhere creepy, I asked when it died instead. 1867, it replied. I again started thinking of questions I could ask, but no one ever thinks to ask a ghost. I remember hearing on some website that you never were supposed to ask a Ouija board about God. So I did the only thing a logical thing an atheist would do at that point. Why aren't I supposed to ask you about God? No, came a terse reply. So I got more creative and I asked, if you were playing World of Warcraft, what kind of class would you play? I was going to say like undead warlock. I guarantee. No, it snapped again. It was weird. And despite the entity that couldn't like directly talk to us, you could almost sense its tone of voice through how it moved the planchette. I wanted to continue asking questions, but our first sergeant interrupted the session with a frantic phone call. He ordered us all back to base for 100% accountability due to someone losing their weapon. Disappointed, we packed up and headed back. The next day, we're telling the others in our platoon about the experience the night before. After many bullshit and eye rolls, another soldier named Green showed interest. He wanted to try to talk to the ghost again and take Green with us. He had an SUV, which would give us more room to set up the board. As a soldier, my first instinct was not only to plan our arrival and departure time, but safety contingencies as well. This was especially on my mind after the previous night. I briefed the group in advance that if any creepy things happen, we were better off with a pre-identified plan on what to do as to take the spirits by surprise. Our ghost hunting SOP was as follows. Approximately at 2000 hours, we're going to depart for Tombstone. This will allow us to drive in after dark. We'll take two vehicles, Green's SUV and Jackson's coupe. Jackson and Thompson will ride in the coupe. Green and I will ride in the SUV. We'll set up our SUV. We'll set up our session in the SUV to allow for a quick departure if anything happens. We will leave any weapons or sharp objects back at base. Spirits can only harm others by proxy. If there are no objects to throw or possess someone into using, then their only physical danger will be soiling our underwear, which is fair.
It's true.
In the event one of us is feeling creeped out beyond belief or an impending sense of doom, we will give others the obvious signal to quickly pack up and leave. Each soldier will return to the vehicle they have traveled in and take off to the base. Upon leaving the scene, the vehicles will immediately establish contact via cell phone to ensure and share in a moment of holy shit, what the fuck just happened, which is totally fair. So it was settled. We had our plan, and we're feeling confident. The undead were no match for Arizona's finest soldiers. We parked at the same lot we had the night before and eagerly took the Ouija board out. There were 4 of us now, and we're feeling more confident. But I wouldn't lie if I told you that I was jittery as fuck. Literally everything I knew about life in the universe at this point was challenged by what we had seen the night before. I felt like the equivalent of someone who had discovered a 6-inch tall genie in their closet that only they can talk to. It literally felt surreal, like a movie. Green was especially nervous being with us as he was raised Catholic. Though he was no longer religious, he still had a strongly ingrained fear of Ouija boards, which is good. Green opted to speculate that as we placed the planchette on the board, there were 3 of us controlling it. We started off by asking if anyone was there and received a very slow and strained yes. I asked if it was the same person that we talked to the previous night, and it said no. Going off as the same theme from last night, I wanted to mind fuck the ghost. I did not want it to give the opportunity to be creepy and wanted to answer questions that no one would think to ask, which is actually very smart. I wanted to expose the ghost's vulnerabilities. As of now, the ghost was this mysterious, all-powerful being. However, As any logical person knows, the paranormal is just science that is not yet discovered. Damn right. The ghost must have limits, I thought. It isn't God, therefore it has things it cannot do, things it cannot have. So I got the bright idea to ask, what's one thing that you cannot have? L-I-F-E. Life, it answered. I wasn't sure whether to feel like an ass, an idiot, or both. Before I could decide between shame and stupidity, the interior light of Green's brand new SUV flickered. Holy fucking shit. That doesn't just happen. The only time I've ever seen a light flicker in a car was when it was being started. This was getting too real. The spirit was an alpha and was asserting its ethereal dominance. After regaining my composure, I began to brainstorm more questions. You've been asking her all the questions. Let me give it a try. Thompson contested to me. Fine. Go ahead. What do you want from us? He asked in a defiant Georgian accent. S-T-E-V. Dude, there's no fucking way, I thought to myself. My name is Steven, but there's no way it's E-N. Steven, the board spells out. At this point, I was terrified.
For good reason.
Fuck yeah, man. There is... no one knew my first name because other than Thompson, but also the planchette was moving in a puppeteered fashion away from Thompson when it spelled out. The best way I could describe it, it was an invisible thread straight from the front of the car pulling the planchette based on how it twisted and turned. There was no one in front of the car. Before I could even react, the center console, which was about 5 inches ajar, closed by itself. I calmly invoked our plan of action. Okay, guys, it is spelled my first name. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Good choice.
Great choice. No one said a word or hesitated for a second. Thompson and Jackson scrambled out of the SUV into Jackson's Eclipse. Green and I piled in the front seat of the SUV. Green immediately shifted into drive, peeled out of the dusty lot. I'm not sure a Ford Escape has ever been used in such a literal fashion, but yeah. Green was in shock, and so was I. My atheist brain was questioning if God might actually be real, and Green's devout brain was pondering the opposite. Our trance was broken by Green's alt-rock ringtone. It was surreal hearing pop culture in a moment when our brains were so farly removed from reality. Green answered the phone. It was Jackson and Thompson. Their car wouldn't start. They had never left Tombstone. Green slams on the brakes and bangs a U-turn that would put Vin Diesel in diapers. He floors the modest SUV, and we're going about 100 miles an hour, heading back down Arizona 82, back towards Tombstone. Dude, slow the fuck down, I yelled. At this point, we were more afraid of Green's driving than the spirits. They're our fucking friends. We can't leave them there. We knew the general direction back to Tombstone and arrived rather quickly. Tombstone isn't as tiny as you might imagine, and we couldn't quite remember where we had parked at. As I'm trying to figure out where we are, Green freaks the fuck out. Oh my God! What, dude? I'm not driving the car anymore. What the fuck are you talking about? I can't move. As if it couldn't get any more frightening, I realized in the middle of Green's outburst that we had inadvertently ended up at the parking lot we'd left. I'm always trying to think logically, so I deduced the following. At this point, there's two possible things that are happening. Either Green is possessed by a butthurt ghost who is basically trying to check my living privilege, or that's such a beautiful sentence.
Yeah, that is a great
or
sentence.
Green is experiencing a psychotic breakdown. Either one of those is a threat to our safety at this point, so I started shouting at him simple commands. As if he was possessed or simply psychotic, simple instructions would get the best course of action. Green, stop the car. Green, stop the car. Green, stop the car. As I ordered in a commanding voice. Eventually, logic and reason fought off whatever had possessed him, and he pulled over. I switched seats with him and began driving. Right after I took over driving, Jackson called and let us know they were safe and about 10 miles down the road towards the base. Green, still in a trance. But once we got for about a quarter mile from ground zero, whatever triggered him without warning originally had left him. This leads me to believe that if ghosts are real, they have an effective possessive range of about a quarter mile. Which, throughout the ride, we struggled to comprehend what had happened that night. Green told me that the ghost wanted me. and that I was telling him to drive down an alley, and that he came to his senses in time. He said the ghost wanted me bad. It wanted him to kill me. It probably would have had him attack me before we left, but our premeditated escape took it by surprise. So I stalled Jackson's car to lure us back. I asked it why it didn't just kill me itself, and he told me probably because I'm bigger than you and more emotional. You think very logically, and you're a lot harder for a spirit to manipulate. Plus, I was in control of the car. This made sense and was pretty chilling to think about. If the spirit succeeded, it probably would have simply hit the news as soldier murders other soldier in Tombstone. PTSD suspected. I imagine that the case was when you hear about mothers spontaneously drowning their children in a bathtub or other inexplicable murder-suicides. It's probably a ghost or a spirit, but gets blamed on psychosis. About halfway back to base, we stopped at a gas station. Green, still not completely in his right mind, opened the hatch of his SUV, took out a sunshade that came with his car, and threw it in the dumpster. What did you do that for? I don't know. Just felt evil. Really evil, he answered. That was the final straw on how real this was. It really drove home how much this was probably not an elaborate prank. Why would he go to the extent of throwing away an expensive OEM part of his car to freak me out when I was already emotionally exhausted? To this day, I'm an atheist, but I do wonder about the paranormal, as it could very well be a science not yet discovered. I would imagine that communicating with a spirit is the equivalent of trying to talk to an invisible man in the room who cannot touch anything. His only way of communicating is holding a portable fan and blowing paper suspended by a string from the ceiling. He blows it right for yes and left for no. I can imagine this is why they communicate in such slow and brief answers. I did a little more research on the location and posted a map of the pictures that is in this story, but for the sake of this, I'll just tell you. Ironically, we were in the parking lot of the OK Corral.
Ooh.
The famous haunted location where outlaws had their shootout in the 1800s.
That's crazy.
From what I can gather, the gunfight happened well after 1867, but keep in mind we talked to two separate spirits. I can't help but to wonder if the second one was one of them.
That's such a good fucking story.
Yeah, dude.
Like it's one of my favorites. And this is just a reminder of don't fucking use Ouija boards. Like just don't. It's not a good idea.
Let's cut to the wide real quick and just remember folks, here at HGO, we're ghost hunters, okay? I've been ghost hunting a long time, and I can confidently say, it's gonna pop up on screen here. Don't fuck with Ouija boards. Got it? Got it.
Got it.
Got it. Don't fuck with Ouija boards unless you want to.
Got it.
Got it. But that is the story of the ghost of the Old West.
It was so fucking
That was
good.
a,
It was a
really
great episode.
well written story.
Yeah, that last
Yeah.
story was it not only because not only is it terrifying for a true encounter,
Yeah.
but the amount of detail and the memory this person has is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. It's fantastic. Terrifying, but fantastic.
You want to go to Tombstone?
Oh, absolutely. I want to go to Tombstone.
I want to go.
I want to go to Tombstone
go
so
with?
bad.
Yeah, I'm down. I'll go with you.
Let's go to HGO's gone on a field trip. Let's fucking go. I actually just got a message from our friends in Pacific Northwest Haunted Homicides the other day.
Yeah.
And one of the hosts, Cassie, was like, "I just listened to your episode about the asylum in Washington."
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and that you did, you know.
Yeah.
And she goes, we definitely want to take a field trip there with you guys there too. And I was like, spooky podcasters go on a field trip? Like, just get all the fucking homies who are like spooky podcasters in the area and we just haul ass up to fucking Washington and go to a sane asylum. That'd be badass.
Record a podcast episode?
Oh,
there?
yeah. That's actually something that we're going to be doing this year. I just don't have the location yet. I'm still working on that. But yeah, we're going to be filming a podcast in some sort of haunted location this year.
Hell yeah.
So you guys can be there and be all spooky. And I almost want to I'll bring this camera, obviously.
Obviously.
But I might actually put my infrared camera on there and then just do it completely in the dark. And then we're
That'd
like
be cool.
in pitch black darkness recording a podcast. That'd be pretty fun. But did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
I had fun. And if you had fun, like, share, subscribe on YouTube, and go and share us on your social media apps and all that stuff. We're on HGOPodcast on Instagram, HGOPodcast on TikTok, Haunts, Graves, and Omens on Facebook. Excuse me, I'm burping again. That's what I do. Share us with your friends. This is a great episode. This is a fucking super fun episode to share with your friends. If you want to see some more comedy stuff, go check out the Comedy Podcast on our socials, the .com pod, and you can also check it out on the Comedy Chaos Network, which is this is on as well. If you want to follow me, Fred Stewart, the Weird Ghost Hunter, directly, you can follow me on Instagram at iHuntTheHaunted. And I'm going to be trying to do some more live streams and stuff here very soon. It'll be very, very fun. Do some with Marty. It'll be very, very, very cool. But I'm going to pass it off to my co-host, Tay.
Hello. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the same handle of Lunar Thrill. I don't post a lot, but I do post some things. So,
yeah. And to pass it off to our lovely little boy.
You can follow me on Adult Friend Finder at Ghetto Feather. Oh wait, that's Instagram, but also on Adult Friend Finder.
I thought it was I thought your username on Adult Friend Finder was just cow noises.
Yeah, it's my username on Adult Friend Finder is.
Okay. That's the wrong one.
That's still this. I mean, it's actually.
okay.
Welcome to the Morton Farm.
And then if you click on my first video, it sounds like this.
Oh.
Oh my God.
And then when I come, it sounds like this.
Well, what a fun episode. Episode 69. We are very close. We're 31 episodes away from episode 100.
That's insane.
That's incredible. Yes, 31 episodes from our 100th episode.
That's insane.
I don't know what we're going to do for it yet. We're going to do something very exciting, though.
Maybe the 100th episode will be the Inside the Ghost.
I was just about to suggest
podcast inside a haunted place.
Me and Marty got the same brain cell right now.
Okay. But we're doing it. And it's, well, actually, what I really want to do, I'll have to look up the timing of that, because what I want to do while we're doing that podcast, is I want to live stream it.
Ooh.
The whole podcast, ghost hunting experience with HGOPodcast and whoever we can get with our friends locked inside of a haunted location, and we'll fucking live stream it.
I have an idea for a location.
Is it what I think it is? Is it in California?
No. It's not what I was thinking. It's in Oregon.
We'll
talk about it later.
We'll talk about it here in a minute. But remember to stay spooky.
Stay haunted.
And yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
Bye.
Bye.